Jimmy didn't know was that Ralph was sick, a sickness of the mind. You see, Ralph was a homosexual.
Turn the friggin' frogs gay! Do the break, do the break. What do you think tap water is? It's a gay bomb, baby.
Straight white's not allowed.
A man's anus is licked like this, like ice cream.
They got stuff that'll whack your brain permanently.
And then they eat the poo-poo.
I'm sick of being social engineered. It's not funny!
I'm doing okay. Everyone the realest go round my way. High definition like a Blu-ray. Picture my monster, call me Kanye. Now break it to the left, do the break, hey. Now break it to the right, do the break, hey. Now break it to the front, do the break, hey. Do the break, do the break, do the break. Now break it to the left, do the break.
Hello and welcome to the Gay Programming Podcast. I'm Marceline, your host, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Merlin Kirby.
Hello.
How you doing?
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. You know what? How about you take the show?
Every single time I say it, you pause for me to say hello.
Well, I didn't do it that time. Maybe I wanted to try something different. Maybe I thought that was dragging the show too much.
Dragging the show
Yeah, that
too
few
much?
seconds of interlude. People fucking like tune out like that because their brains are been like completely corrupted by
then
TikTok.
my wonderful happy greeting tunes them back in.
You know what? How about we just like talk over each other? Come on, talk while I'm talking. Come on, talk while I'm talking. Add it right now. Makes for a very peaceful conversation.
Very calming.
People are listening to this right now. Yeah, no, it was great. Keep going. Keep talking. Whole fucking orchestra, motherfucker.
Yep. You're welcome. Well, how are you, baby?
I'm tired. We went out into a homeless camp. We're handing out like supplies and stuff.
Yeah.
I did a really funny pratfall. Everybody laughed at me.
Nobody laughed at you. We were all scared.
Yeah, everybody laughed. Everybody was like, look at that big fucking stupid bitch.
No.
Look at her big sexy tits falling all over the place.
Well, I was thinking that, but I kept that to myself.
And they're like, well, where's the other lesbian woman fighting this big bimbo woman falling in the mud? You know, but yeah, no, it was nice to be doing that, do some mutual aid stuff, but yeah, I'm pretty tired, and then it also sucks that today's Sunday, and I'm going right back into work to the week, so I'm like, fuck, I'm tired, but it's supposed to be the 2 days that I get to heal up and rest up and be all ready for my awesome 5 days of working.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is like my entire Sunday is always spent being like, God, I have to get up early tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather be doing more productive things, like masturbating furiously while 2 popper bottles are taped to my fucking nose, and I just keep huffing them into my fucking brain that's shivering under the fucking amount of 50 porn files all playing at the same time.
That sounds like a lot.
Yeah, well, you know, hey man, my dick don't work unless it's fucked up. That's it, you know. I'm a real lady of smut. I need 50 dildos up my ass and my mouth.
Alright, that's good. It's good to know, babe.
Hey man, this is a high-class podcast.
Clearly.
And it's about the gay experience overall.
Yo, speaking of the gay experience, so isn't it funny when you're in college and you're taking Psych 101 and they ask you to define sexual orientation and gender identity, and then the professor puts right next to that in the assignment, in parentheses, hint, the two are not the same thing. And you're like,
No, I do not have that, especially not when I was taking my Psych 101. They didn't talk about gender. Are you fucking stupid?
Mine does, and I have to write, like, a report on it, and I have to include 4 peer-reviewed sources. And I'm like, dude, I'm gay and I'm trans. Just take my word for it. I promise.
Well, that's why you just got to get into political science. Then you can just like say whatever the fuck you want, and people will be like, "Yeah, that's valid. That sounds right. That sounds right for me."
I mean, that's why English was my favorite subject in school, because what is the interpretation of this book? I don't know, fucking whatever.
Yeah, you
don't
can't
even have
fact
to read
check
the
my
book.
sentence, bitch.
Yeah.
It's just beautiful.
Exactly.
Where's your reference on The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe? You didn't have any, because he just came up with that in his brain. Like smart guy shit.
Exactly. Big brain.
Yeah, and he could only achieve that after fucking his cousin.
I don't know if those two are related, per se.
But they are in the same room. That genius to write The Raven and fucking your cousin. That was both in the same man.
Yeah, for sure.
So, who's to say either act is wrong?
I think they're both wrong. Let's all stop writing entirely.
Yeah.
That's how I felt after that lovely copy of my book arrived.
What book? Oh, your book?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Self-Help for Real this time. We usually don't mention that until the very end.
Well, no, I mentioned it because, just reading through it, I think is such a funny,
Oh yeah,
just example
for people,
of...
if this is your very first episode, Merlin has a book. It's
Yeah.
called Self-Help for Real this time.
I don't know, it's just so funny, reading, looking back at your creations and, I don't know, almost feeling kind of like Frankenstein and just being like, what awful monstrosity have these hands made?
I don't know. I mean, it's fine. I mean, you were really young, and I think that's really cool that you wrote a book. And it's, are we gonna be telling Anne Frank that stupid bitch, 14-year-olds old think you know what fucking shit's about shit? Get the fuck out of here, you dumb. I don't know, because basically Merlin's book is very I've only read 20 pages so far.
Wow, fake fan.
Yeah, I'm not a real fan. I'm a fair weather. I'm a fair weather friend. It's very it's just autobiographical.
The first chapter is.
Well, yeah, I guess, but it's just talking about experiences that you personally dealt with your depression and suicidal things, and I think sharing those experiences are really important, and I don't think judging them on a level of quality defeats the purpose of just having people be more encouraged to share themselves at an earlier age. I think people should be less worried, at least destroy themselves that, oh, my experience isn't worth it because it's not something that's going to get 1 million clicks or whatever, rather than just being hey, this was something that I thought, this is something that I wrote down, and I'm sharing it with the world. Take it, leave it. It was something that needed to come out regardless.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I guess, honestly, because the entire rest of the book is, a numbered list of just, coping methods and ways to try and be better at life than I was when I wrote it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I guess at the time I really kind of made it for me. And I was like, yeah, I'll publish it and I'll have it exist as a book, but really, this is a Google Doc I'm keeping on my computer so that I can get my shit together for once. So I don't know, I think that really just kind of speaks to, not to be I'm 14 and this is deep, but I think it kind of speaks to a big thing about art as a whole, where you make it for yourself and then you commodify it and forget why you made it in the first place, I guess.
Well, I think it's just mostly you're someone who I think the real problem when it comes to this anxiety that a lot of artists have is that you're someone, or really just someone because I even hate describing people as artists, because I think it's just something that everyone is an artist to some capacity.
Humans are innately artists.
Yeah, I mean, there was motherfuckers who were painting shit on the walls of their caves just
in dances and songs.
They just needed to do that.
Yeah.
It was, but yeah, now in the current, era that we find ourselves in, and a lot of people find ourselves in, is that you get to this mindset where you're oh, well, everybody needs a career. Everyone needs like something to make money to succeed in the world. And a lot of people have this idea of like, oh, well, I'll make this special thing that is actually really human in me and just something that like I need to do to live, to be able to breathe. But this is the only thing I feel like I have any joy in. So if I can modify it and I make it into a product, then that will make me happy. And, you know, to push that innate human self in you into this like commodified reality is a really like jarring and depressing thing. And it kind of makes you diminish your art that you can output to the point where you just won't produce anything because you think it's not good enough because it doesn't make money.
Yeah.
When who gives a shit?
Yeah, I mean that's definitely true.
Other than you, who like are really hoping to pay rent, but
yeah, well, yeah, and like that's another thing about it. Is definitely it's one of those things where it's not even like when I published it, I didn't even expect it to make money. In fact, it hasn't made a lot, but I was surprised that of the copies it did sell and the response it did get. But I definitely agree on just, you know, the awful commodification and the fact that everything is a product. Because I was even messaging a good friend of mine the other day about, like, because as you know, I have this little fantasy dream in my head of living, you know, in a house that has a sizable yard, and I can have a goat and some chickens and grow a whole bunch of veggies and stuff. And I love the idea of just being able to, like, feed myself and my partner and my neighbors every now and then with a farm. But, like, having to farm for a living can be so awful a lot of the time.
No, I mean,
because it's so much more than that.
To be an independent farmer in this country is not possible anymore. It's all controlled by factories, and, like, the very few that are, like, independently owned are outliers that are completely out of the norm.
Yeah, and that's like the problem with it is, again, like farming, for example, is another thing that is so deeply, innately, and philosophically like human. But now it's, you know, done for capitalism and for business, so it takes the humanity out of it.
Well, it's alienating.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like ultimately... I mean, the prospect of development, and I don't even think necessarily, like, you know, I'm someone who I wish that we could get, like, that basically I'm not, like, someone who's, like, completely against, like, not everyone needs to be a farmer or something like that. I'm not, like, an anarcho-primitivist who's, like, someone's like, we need to get back to our roots of ourselves to fix anything. But I certainly, like, understand the alluring prospect of it. And also, too, like, to be honest, you know, we were talking a little bit about this yesterday, or last night, but, you know, about just, like, that because us being trans and our community being so vulnerable and being such a minority, that the need for us to be, like, anarchists, this, like, compulsion to, like, okay, if we can't be accepted by society, there's almost this like desire and want to set a society outside of the lines of basically establishing a certain I don't know what the word would be, like self-reliance, self-sufficiency to the extent where you can like not need like build your own Garden of Eden outside of hell, you know, or inside of hell in this case. But yeah, I mean, like, I think it's a really normal, compulsory desire, and that's why, you know, a lot of trans people, I think, tend to be anarchist in an extent, and you don't find a lot of fucking Bolshevik trans people.
Well, I think another funny thing about it is, it's funny you say trans specifically, and I agree with you, but I also feel like I noticed both a lot of trans people, but also just a lot of left-wing people, because, I mean, you know, let's be real, they intersect and overlap a lot. But, you know, like, I feel like a lot of us have very specific, like, not necessarily survival skills, but
Like
like
trans people, are you talking about?
yeah, or just
Okay.
leftists in general. But
Okay.
you know, I feel like a lot of us also have very specific, important skills that would like benefit a society like that. Like I don't know, I just feel like in my head there are a lot of us who are like, yeah, I can bake so much bread from like anything, or I know how to make clothes, or I know how to garden, you know. And I think it in a way kind of speaks to that. One, again, I just think that's a human thing, but also I almost feel like it speaks to that kind of subconscious need to have that Garden of Eden, as you called it, of just, you know, wanting to, I know you don't like this words as much, but like wanting to help your comrades in some kind of way like that.
You know, I'm trying to have like a deeper understanding of all of this, but like to me, there's always been this struggle within communism to develop that solidarity, to create that the class consciousness, like to basically get people in a certain of the oppressed essentially to get like to the same mindset of like understanding like, hey, we're all in this together. These, you know, there's like a certain ruling class that is oppressing us or taking X, Y, and Z from us, and we can establish a better society, a communistic society that's post all of like the inherent evil and vices of capitalism around us. Basically, like, how do we create that solidarity? How do we create that consciousness in people? And you know, there's like a certain group of communists who are going to say, well, there is a way we can make the class thing work. We can just kind of make all workers of the world unite that they're workers, and we can get them all on the same page. And you know, the Bolshevik Revolution 2.0 worldwide this time. And then you got another group of people like the Nazbols who are like, we're going to create solidarity through nation states. We're going to make, you're a Russian, I'm a Russian, let's unite as Russians to, you know, set ourselves up for a communistic society for all Russians. And then there's another group, at least that I feel like I'm becoming more partial in understanding, on the identity side of making people realize, especially in an American under an American context, that usually the most liberating and pushing expression for people is who they are. And it comes down to being trans, being African American, being Asian American, or pretty much anything that isn't like German, like German, Scottish, English, whatever, in fucking all across, but like isn't the white class, and gets them to have a solidarity amongst themselves, to have some power to actually fight against the establishment. And I think, honestly, to me, it seems that's the most compelling thing, to not just to really help my own people, which is the trans community.
Yeah, for sure. And I think there's definitely kind of a frustration that I feel a lot with a lot of media in leftist spaces that I consume, because, you know, there's a lot of talk about how, like, hey, we're all workers, we all need to unite as workers, and this is true. You know, we are workers, and it does take the strength of the entire working class as a unit to overthrow the system, I feel. But at the same time, that kind of class reductionism isn't really doing minority groups any favors, because you need to acknowledge the kind of divide and conquer methods that the ruling class has used between white and black people, cis and trans people, straight and gay people. You know, it just kind of goes on and on. And, you know, we also definitely need to acknowledge working class people who are racist as shit, or like, you know, that kind of thing. And like, just the intersectionality of all of it needs to be definitely acknowledged in any kind of actual viable revolution, I think.
Yeah, because I mean, like, again, there's plenty of times, especially in like the old labor movements, looking in America with Jimmy Hoffa, that were like outright racist, very much racist. Basically, my thing is like, if we're going to all get on the same page of like, let's have a $25 minimum wage, and tie that to inflation, and like genuine, or have like a universal healthcare system, things that, pretty much everyone kind of has skin in the game in that. But, even with the example of that universal healthcare, if we pass that, how much of that is actually going to be with gender affirming surgery or hormones? Is that going to be a part of the universal healthcare
Abortions
plan?
as well. Like, so many things are just so outright, like, absolutely no on the abortions, especially like Medicaid, but that's right now, and I'm assuming.
Well, I mean, there's definitely going to be, like, even if universal healthcare, I mean, it's definitely, because, there's so much, like, conservative infrastructure that's been specifically dedicated to try and, like, abolish abortion rights in this country. So, I mean, yeah, that will definitely, but, I mean, just universal healthcare, the passing of things like that where there's a lot of people who say they're in support of it, but to what extent? Are they just going to be someone who's, like, universal healthcare in the traditional, like, oh, if you got cancer, you go and get cancer, and like, yeah, that's awesome, that's a part of the plan, we want that as well, but the ocean of change more often than not seems to completely forget communities that seem to just get washed over over because there's no great like force to really represent them. They're often impoverished and weak.
Yeah, and then also, to go on with the healthcare, hypothetical, it's also so like important to note like what is the quality of care going to look like for different minorities. And so, for the example how in pretty much all, but I should say most, like medical textbook, all of the examples of various skin diseases are shown on white skin. So there's so many doctors out there misdiagnosing or not treating black people because they don't recognize what those same signs and symptoms look like on black skin. So if you have something like universal health care, it kind of begs the question of, is it going to be universal health care with inaccessible care to, again, like people seeking abortion or trans people, but also these kind of more less blatant forms. I mean, not less blatant, it's still blatant, but it's not like there's a policy that says, okay, bad care for black people.
Yeah,
but
no. I mean, it comes from ignorance.
Yeah.
I mean, more often than not, the greatest evils that have been allowed to continue have come from just people like, being ignorant. I don't know why, like, everyone just has, like, baby brains, and they just think that, like, the way to be racist is, like, roots, is, like, the fucking special roots, where there is, like, just a guy with a whip in a cotton field going, let me hear you some more.
Oh my god.
Just like doing that kind of shit. And yes, that is a real thing. But more often than not, the greatest problems that I face as a minority, it comes from just general assumptions.
Yeah, like microaggressions and sure.
Comes from just like the stuff that goes unsaid. And you ask anyone who is affected in some way by that, it's more often than not that. Then, again, the Ku Klux Klan in the fucking truck. It's not my main problem or my main overcomings of the
And
problem.
I think a big issue too is that people tend to compare those things in this kind of, okay, well, like, in my case, I have, like, online gotten death threats and, like, I'll kill you faggot and all that shit. But
fuckers talk really brave behind the fucking keyboard.
But, also I've totally just gotten, like, weird microaggression bullshit, and it's just so interesting to see. I think a lot of people kind of go, like, oh, well, you should be grateful that one wasn't the other one. And that's so not the case, because when you're comparing it to this bar, and that bar is literally hate crimed to death, that's not, that doesn't make it okay.
Well, yeah, and it also speaks to because, like, if that person, who admittedly is a big old pussy, who needs the anonymity of, like, being online to, like, you know, do that, to basically just send DMs to you that are...
Yeah, like, also to have you and your friends attacking a 14-year-old.
Yeah, I mean, well, that also is, like, in conjunction of it, but, you know, you're also talking about someone who, like, hey, say if that person, because, you know, a lot of people have this understanding, it's like, oh, it's just online, that's it, it's just online, and, you know, the things you post are real things, they're like letters that you do online, and if you wrote a letter to someone that said, I hope you fucking die, that speaks to a little bit about who that person is, and what they believe, and what they want to do, and so say if that person who, you know, may just be DMing and laughing about calling a 14-year-old a faggot, say if in the real world he's in a group of people, and there's a trans person in the middle of this group of person, and then one person picks up a stone and throws it at that trans person and starts laughing, and then that person picks up a stone because he feels comfortable because now a bunch of people are joining in on the persecution, and that shit can happen.
Yeah.
And it starts with building your confidence by saying, saying faggot a bunch of times in DMs on Instagram.
Yeah. That really reminds me, I don't know, have you ever seen Non-Compete's Beauty Pipeline videos?
Excuse me, I don't watch that, because after watching Vosh completely destroy Non-Compete, fucking obliterate him, and then donkey punch his dumb Vietnamese wife right in the throat. Yeah, no, I didn't watch that Non-Compete video. No, tell me.
I don't remember your name, but at Non-Compete's wife, I'm so sorry. You're such a sweet lady. She didn't mean it.
She's cool, I guess. I don't know. I don't watch any of your guys' videos. I'm too busy getting laid.
Well, anyway, yeah, no. What was I talking about?
You were talking about Non-Compete's video about what we were talking about.
Okay, yeah. So, he has a video called Beauty Pipeline, and I think it's actually a couple videos.
I'm pretty sure I saw that. It's one of his bigger, it's one of his hotter, one of the good classics.
Well, I mean, with the title like that, how could it not be? But no, and it basically is just kind of talking about, I don't remember if he called it like a pyramid or a ladder or what, but I think it was the pyramid of violence is what he was calling it. And it pretty much talks about how there's like the levels of like, okay, you're doing shit ironically, it's funny to use slurs and threaten people, and then you start kind of doing those things unironically. Yeah, you're not out here murdering anyone, but you're going on 4chan and like telling people they're stupid and ugly or whatever.
Yeah.
And then it just escalates to like genocide and murder.
Yeah, I think I saw like because I do remember the triangle. I remember that.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's totally on point what you're describing. It's just like, because it does like facilitate. I mean, humor is a way to help like congest bigger ideas, and you know, sometimes it can just be jokes and bullshit, but other times, hey man, like, you know, jokes, like, you know, again, like when Caitlyn Bennett, that gun state girl, when there was like the DMs got leaked where it's literally just like, you know, the like, you know, they're just making like Jew jokes, like just constantly like, oh, he's probably a Jew, the fucking Jew, like just kept saying that. And I mean, like, you know, you gotta get to a point where you're like, oh, you're always talking about how much you hate Jewish people or how much you hate trans people, and you always say it's a joke, but you just keep mentioning it. It gets to a point where it's like, no, you're just saying that, and you're just laughing because that's your way of getting out of getting any consequences.
Well,
for
yeah,
your
and it
actions.
also, another thing that he mentioned in the video, which I thought was so good, because, like, obviously, you know, as someone who grew up kind of on the other side of these jokes for various reasons, you know, I always kind of understood the concept. Like, I got that there was more behind the humor, but he kind of worded it so well. But another thing he mentioned was how it really can kind of desensitize people from the actual, like, atrocities being committed against minorities, because they don't see them as the very real, like, monstrosities that they are. They see it as the punchlines now. Which, I don't know, I just thought was another very, like, astute observation.
If you're someone who thinks that saying the N-word is funny just because saying the N-word, don't do that.
Yeah,
It's not fun.
maybe just focus on graduating 5th grade.
Maybe
and...
just don't think that the way how you're going to succeed is being an internet comedian. Maybe that's not the route for you. Maybe if you're just saying the N-word, that's not your thing.
Yeah. God, I cannot picture a more insufferable combination of words than internet comedian.
That's everybody. Every like fucking fashy dipshit white man wants to be a comedian.
I know, but just putting internet on there really just makes, like, your gut reaction immedially more disgusted. It was really a good
making
choice.
nice internet. I mean, that's everyone. Just go on to the subreddit. What's it called? Fucking small YouTube channels.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that thing is the bomb. Like, I love that fucking place. It's just, like, filled with, like, I don't know, a 40-year-old man who probably still lives with his parents. And he's, like, doing these sketch videos where it's just, like, Monty Python ripoff jokes. Where it's just, like, wearing a wig and being like, this is what AOC sounds like.
Oh,
Isn't
wow.
she just a dumb bitch? Stupid bitch. You fucking bitch. It's like, there's just like, you know, maybe they learned like the after effects of like making their eyes really big on video, and they're super proud of that. And they're like, dude, it looks like the annoying orange from YouTube.
Oh my god,
Crazy.
Annoying Orange.
Yeah,
I'd rather watch Annoying Orange than conservative YouTube channels trying to be funny.
I mean, no, conservatives can't be funny. They're like absolutely unable to be funny.
Mm-hmm.
Like, unless they're just talking. Like, because then they can be really funny. Like, Tucker, when he's just, like, off the cuff on Bubba's The Love Sponge radio show, it's well, I laugh at it because it's, like, the only way how I can cope with the horrible hellscape I find myself in.
Who's the frogs gay guy?
Frogs gay? What? Oh, Alex Jones? Oh, man.
Yeah.
He really was. Man, I miss him every single day. Every single day I think about how cool Alex Jones was.
Turn the frickin' frogs gay.
My favorite one was the one where he claimed that the whole Bush family were vampires. he fucking comes out in like a fucking one of those like really cheap Party City dinosaur heads, and he's just like does like a no joke like a 15-minute long bit about being George W. Bush being a reptile. He's just like, I'm George W. Bush, and I'm a reptile, and I'm from the planet Earth, and I want to suck you. He does that like so much times. He was a fucking born star. I will never be as funny as Alex Jones was.
This guy's not famous, but do you remember the freaks I told you about back when I volunteered with that organization that killed a lady?
Yeah, it was in the last episode.
Well, yeah, okay, those freaks. I remember one time he was yelling about how an abortion, you know, like, the father should be the one to consent to them because genetically you are not even related to your mother at all. You are your father's sperm, and that's all you are. There's no... Like, yeah, you were formed in your mom's uterus, but they just didn't understand the concept of eggs, I guess.
I mean, I guess that's just like, I think that's just like ways of defending fucking his mom. Must have like fucked his mom, like, right?
Oh my god, he must have fucked his mom.
Because that's like literally seems like the way you would defend yourself, where it's like, well, yeah, I mean, I was born from my father is who I'm related to, but I'm not, my mother I'm not related to. Because it's from my father's seed, so that's what created me, so it's fine under the Lord's word to, you know,
can't believe this
take
guy,
that for another spin.
Can't believe this guy had sex with his mom. It all makes sense now.
Of course, he's white. Like, they all have sex with their moms.
I should hope not.
White cis guys all have sex with their moms. It's true. It's true. That's why incest porn is so popular among
Oh, ew.
It's true. It's true.
God.
It's real.
Can we just stop incest porn from being a thing? Can we just make it go away?
Yeah, I'm in full support of having more like appliance-related porn. You know, like I want more of the stuck in the you know, the dryer porn. I want, like, you know, maybe how about a dishwasher? Maybe she's stuck. Maybe her bra gets like stuck on one of the hooks at the dishwasher. She's like, "Oh, drat! I'm stuck." It's like, "Oh, don't worry, my dick is also stuck in you."
Wow, babe, you should write. That was really good.
Yeah, well, you know, I used to write for porn.
I can tell.
Used to write for some scripts.
Yeah.
Used to pitch some stuff. Went to boardrooms, and then they said, "Get the fuck out. We don't do that. Like, what? We don't hire script writers for porn."
They don't. My dreams.
Yeah. Surprise, surprise.
No,
There's not a lot of artistic integrity in the porn industry.
Wow, I couldn't tell.
You're like, it's like Boogie Nights.
Tell me about the future. That the future is tape, videotape, and not film. It is amateurs and not professionals. I'm a filmmaker. That's why I will never make a movie on videotape.
Alright,
okay.
Where were we?
Where were we? What do you want
Porn.
to talk
Oh. Not porn.
about? You want to talk about porn?
No, I don't want to talk about porn.
This show fucking sucks. I'm canceling it. This is the last episode of gay programming.
No, we're
the
both,
last episode.
We're both just tired.
Yeah, we are pretty fucking tired.
But that's good that we did it, though. And also, I think our tiredness just speaks to the system.
Alright, yeah, we're really fucking tired. So, yeah, we'll do another episode at some point. But we love you guys. We have a YouTube channel. It's called Gay Programming. It's operated by me. We also have an Instagram. You can find Merlin Kirby over on Angsty Vegan at Instagram, and I am Fem Marks on Instagram. Merlin's got a book, like we talked about, called Self-Help for Real This Time, and you can find that in the link below. So yeah.
Yay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Love you.